Funny, isn't it? How some messages don't leave you alone. They come once, quietly, like a whisper you can ignore, and when you do, they circle back, louder, sharper, like a voice echoing in the back of your mind saying, "You didn't listen the first time." And you start to wonder, was it coincidence, or was it something more? Maybe it's not the world trying to reach you. Maybe it's the truth, knocking again, asking if you're finally ready to hear it. Because messages like this, they don't chase everyone. Only the ones running from what they already know deep down. You ever notice how life doesn't move on just because you do? You can try to outrun the past, distract yourself, fill your days with noise, pretend the lesson wasn't for you, but somehow it always finds a way back. The faces change, the places change, but the pattern stays. Like a song on repeat, haunting you until you finally stop and listen to the lyrics. That's the thing about lessons. You don't get to skip them. You can ignore them, sure, you can laugh them off, push them aside, drown them under excuses and denial, but life doesn't forget. It waits. Patiently. Until you're too tired to fake it anymore. And then, it hands you the same scenario again, like a teacher sliding a test back across the desk saying, "Try again." People love to call it bad luck. They love to say, "Why does this always happen to me?" But it's not luck, it's law. You repeat what you refuse to resolve. Life doesn't punish you. It mirrors you. Every unresolved emotion, every pattern you avoid, every truth you suppress, it all shows up again and again, dressed in different forms, until you finally face it. The one who betrayed you last time, they come back in a new body, with a sweeter smile. The opportunity you ruined out of fear. It shows up again, just to see if you'll finally step up this time. The chaos, the disappointment, the heartbreak, it's not random. It's a mirror. A reflection of the part of you that still hasn't learned what it needs to. You can't evolve by escaping. You evolve by enduring. Every situation you run from is an unfinished conversation between you and your own soul. And life, oh, it's patient. It'll keep replaying the same lesson until you answer. The timing changes, the cast changes, but the message stays the same. Grow. Wake up. Stop pretending you don't see the signs. That's why the same problems keep knocking at your door. They're not here to hurt you. They're here to help you, to stretch you, to remind you that progress doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. Most people don't want to hear that. They want new results without new behavior. They want peace without honesty. They want blessings without accountability. But life doesn't work like that. You don't get promoted from a test you didn't pass. You don't move to the next chapter by rereading the last one. That's why some people feel stuck. They keep rewriting the same story, expecting a different ending. But the truth is simple. Until you learn the lesson, the cycle continues. Until you face the pain persists. Until you stop blaming others, the same situations will keep finding you, wearing different faces, but carrying the same message. You ever wonder why certain moments feel familiar, like déjà vu? It's not magic, it's memory. It's life reminding you, we've been here before. The feeling, the decision, the mistake. You've walked this road. The question is, will you keep walking in circles, or will you finally take a turn? Because every lesson comes with two doors: repeat or rise. Most people choose repeat because it's familiar. Familiar pain feels safer than unknown freedom. But that's how you trap yourself in a loop, choosing comfort over change, even when that comfort is slowly destroying you. The truth is, the universe doesn't get tired of teaching, but you should get tired of suffering. Every time you say, I'll never let that happen again, and still let it happen, life watches. It waits. It gives you another chance to prove you mean it. Because growth isn't about words. It's about patterns. Anyone can talk about healing, but healing shows in your choices, in the way you react differently to the same situation. In the moment you finally say, no more, that's the moment the cycle ends. Not because the world changes, but because you do. And deep down, you always know when you're being tested again. It's that strange feeling in your chest, that flicker of recognition, when life starts looking a little too familiar. The same type of person walks into your life. The same kind of opportunity appears. The same temptation whispers your name. And you already know what happens if you say yes again. But sometimes you still do, because part of you hopes this time it'll be different. It won't. Not until you are. That's the lesson hidden beneath the repetition. Life isn't cruel, it's consistent. It's not punishing you, it's reminding you. You keep getting the same lesson not because you're unlucky, but because you're important enough not to be left behind. The message won't stop coming until you understand it. The pain won't stop burning until it wakes you. That's the law of growth. What you avoid controls you. What you face frees you. And somewhere deep inside, you already know exactly what life's been trying to tell you. You've heard it before. Maybe whispered it to yourself late at night. You've felt it tugging at you when you repeat the same mistakes, when you see the same endings play out, when you feel the same emptiness after ignoring your intuition. That's the message trying to reach you again. And it won't stop knocking until you open the door and finally let it in. Funny thing about messages, they never really stop coming, do they? You think you missed your chance, you think it's over, but somehow, just when you've started to forget, it shows up again, like a whisper in the dark, tapping on the walls of your mind. The same feeling, the same sign, the same quiet pull that says, hey, we're not done yet. Most people don't even notice. They think it's coincidence. They think life's just being weird again. But nothing repeats itself by accident. When a message comes back a second time, it's not persistence. It's mercy. It's the universe giving you another shot at what you ignored the first time. Another chance to see what you were too distracted, too broken, too stubborn to see. You see, when something is meant for you, it doesn't give up easily. It circles back. It waits in the background. It watches you stumble through the noise, through all the things you thought would fix you. until it knows you're finally quiet enough to listen. That's when it comes again. Not louder, not grander, but clearer. Because sometimes clarity doesn't scream, it repeats. The second message is softer, but sharper. It cuts through the fog of your routine, through the lies you tell yourself to stay comfortable, and it asks one simple question. Did you get it this time? People underestimate the weight of divine timing. They think missed moments are gone forever, but that's not always true. Sometimes what's meant for you pauses, waits just outside the door, waiting for you to grow into the kind of person who can handle it. You weren't ready before. You would have ruined it. You would have thrown it away because you were still holding on to pain, still clinging to your old version of yourself. But now you've been through the fire. Now you understand loss. Now you know what it feels like to watch something slip away because you didn't appreciate it. And that pain, that regret, it carved you into someone stronger, someone who won't waste it this time. That's why the message came back. Because you finally are who you were supposed to be when it arrived the first time. The funny part is, people call it coincidence when something happens twice. But deep down, they know better. They feel it in their chest. That strange sense of familiarity. That chill that runs down their spine. That whisper in their head saying, this moment means something. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. Life doesn't repeat itself for no reason. It's repeating because there's something unfinished, something you still need to hear or do or change. The second message doesn't show up to entertain you. It shows up to rescue you, to realign you, to drag you out of the comfort that's quietly killing you. You ever ignore something small only to have it explode later? That's how life works. The first message is a whisper. The second one, it's a warning. It's life saying, hey, this time, pay attention. Because the more you ignore it, the louder the lesson becomes. The people who never listen end up learning the hard way. They call it tragedy, but it's not. It's delayed understanding. You can't say you weren't warned. You just didn't want to hear it. That's why the same pain finds you twice. The same type of person, the same heartbreak, the same betrayal. It's all connected to the message you refused to open the first time it was sent. But the beauty in the second message, it means grace still exists. It means you're still on the timeline where redemption is possible. You still have a shot to make things right, to make a different choice, to finally listen to what your soul's been trying to tell you. The universe doesn't give second messages to everyone. Some people miss their first and final chance in one breath. But if this message came back for you, it means something. It means there's still a purpose attached to your name. It means you're still being called. Even if you've fallen, even if you've failed. You know what's funny? Most people only start listening when they're desperate, when everything else has fallen apart, when they're tired of pretending, when they've tried every path except the one they were meant to take. That's when the second message finally makes sense. Because the first time, it felt confusing. The second time, it feels necessary. The first time, you doubted it. The second time, you feel it. That's how you know it's real. The same words, the same sign. But this time, your soul reacts differently. It's not just a message anymore. It's a calling. And maybe that's why it had to come again. Because now you're not the same person who received it before. The version of you who ignored it back then is gone. You've blood. You've lost. You've grown. You've learned how fragile life is, how fast things can change, how quickly people disappear. So this time you're paying attention. This time it hits different. This time it's not just another message. It's the one that changes everything. That's the quiet irony of life. It keeps trying to save you from yourself. It keeps sending the same truth in different forms, hoping one of them finally breaks through your stubbornness. And when it does, you'll realize it was never random. The signs, the timing, the words, they were all orchestrated to reach you when you were finally ready to receive them. Because sometimes, the second time isn't just a repeat. It's the beginning of understanding what the first one really meant. You ever notice how some people think they can outrun what's meant for them? They build walls, they change cities, they distract themselves with noise, with faces, with meaningless victories, just to escape something that keeps following them like a shadow. But fate doesn't chase you because it's desperate. It waits. It's patient. It knows exactly when to strike. You can bury yourself in new habits, new lies, new people. But you can't bury what's written for you. You can ignore it, mock it, pretend you don't see the signs, but it's always there, lingering at the corner of your vision, whispering when you're alone, visiting you in dreams you pretend not to remember. Because what's meant for you isn't fragile, it's inevitable. You can run sure. You can scream that you're not ready. You can try to rewrite your story. But the funny part, the story always finds its way back to the original script. That's the part that breaks people. The realization that all along, it wasn't the world standing in their way. It was them, their fear, their pride, their refusal to listen when life tried to guide them gently. So life stopped whispering. It started shaking things up, taking things away, pushing them to the edge, not to destroy them, but to make them move. Because if comfort didn't wake you up, pain will. There's a pattern to it all, you know. The same lesson keeps returning until you learn it. The same kind of person keeps showing up until you recognize the reflection they hold of you. The same opportunities slip through your fingers until you finally learn how to hold on. Life doesn't punish you, it prepares you. It repeats the cycle until you understand the rhythm. But most people are too busy cursing their misfortune to realize the blessing hiding inside it. They cry about what left, not realizing it had to go so something better could take its place. They call it loss, but it's alignment. They call it rejection, but it's protection. You see, the second time around isn't supposed to look like the first. It's not a rerun. It's a test. Life's way of asking, did you grow from what broke you? Because if you didn't, it'll break you again, just harder. People think pain means something went wrong. But maybe pain is the only thing that goes right. Maybe it's the only language the soul understands when it refuses to listen to reason. The cracks in your heart, that's not weakness. That's how the light gets in. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every sleepless night, it's shaping you into the kind of person who can finally carry the thing you've been praying for. But here's the problems. People want blessings, not growth. They want miracles, not lessons. They want the light without walking through the fire. That's not how it works. Before life gives you something, it tests if you're ready to keep it. It doesn't hand you gold while you're still comfortable losing silver. So when things fall apart, when you feel like everything's slipping, it's not punishment. It's a reset. The second message, the second chance, the second storm, it's all part of the cleansing. It strips away everything fake, so only what's real can remain. You don't see it while it's happening, because pain blinds you. But when the smoke clears, when you're standing in the ashes of what used to be, you'll realize that the fire didn't destroy you. It refined you. Ever notice how the second time you experience something painful, it doesn't hurt in the same way? It cuts deeper, but cleaner. It doesn't confuse you anymore. It clarifies you. Because this time you understand. You've been here before, and now you see through the illusions. You see who's real and who was pretending. You see what's temporary and what's eternal. That's what wisdom looks like. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about recognizing its purpose. The second time life brings you to your knees, it's not humiliation. It's transformation. And yet, people keep asking, why me? As if the world has something against them. Maybe it's not a why me. Maybe it's fair why not yet. Maybe the delay isn't denial. It's preparation. Maybe the reason life made you wait, the reason it sent you the same message twice, is because what's coming is too heavy for who you were before. You needed to be sharpened by disappointment, grounded by solitude, humbled by loss. You needed to learn what to value, who to trust, what to fight for. Because when the blessing arrives this time, you won't fumble it. You'll protect it. You'll recognize it for what it is, because you paid for it in tears. The irony is, people don't realize how divine repetition really is. They think it's stagnation, but it's synchronization. The universe doesn't send mixed signals. It sends consistent ones until you stop doubting. That's why the message came again. Not because you missed it, but because now you can handle it. This is your second reminder that destiny doesn't give up just because you did. The call didn't end when you ignored it. It was just waiting for you to be ready to answer. And when you finally do, when you stop running, stop resisting, stop pretending you don't hear it, that's when everything starts making sense. Every delay, every detour, every downfall, it all becomes clear. Because the truth is, the second message isn't about what's being sent. It's about who you've become since the first one was ignored. And maybe, just maybe, That's all life was waiting for. You ever wonder why silence gets so loud right before something big happens? Like the world is holding its breath, waiting for you to finally see what it's been trying to show you all along. There's a stillness before change, a strange calm that feels like peace but tastes like warning. People mistake it for nothingness. They think nothing's happening, that life's quieted down because the storm's over. But what if that silence is the eye of the storm? What if it's not peace, but preparation? That's the trap. Most people stop paying attention right when life starts speaking the loudest. They get comfortable. They think the danger's past. But that's when the real shift begins. See, life doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes the signs aren't in explosions or heartbreaks, but in little things. Missed calls, tired eyes, strange coincidences, people leaving without explanation. You brush it off, call it random. But deep down, you feel it. The unease, the restlessness, that tension that sits heavy on your chest for no reason. That's not anxiety, it's awareness. Something inside you knows that change is crawling closer, even when you can't see it yet. The universe doesn't send you thunder without first flickering the lights. But most people ignore the flicker. And then they wonder why they were struck blind when lightning hit. You can sense when your life's about to turn. The air feels different. You start losing interest in the same people, same habits, same noise. It's not depression, it's detachment. The old version of you is falling apart quietly, piece by piece, because it can't cross into what's next. The people who used to understand, you start sounding foreign. The things you loved start feeling empty, and you start craving solitude. Not because you're broken, but because your soul needs silence to realign. That's how transformation begins. Not with applause, but with discomfort. Not with joy, but with confusion. Funny thing, most people resist this phase. They call it bad luck. They panic. Try to glue their life back together. They chase old connections, beg for clarity. Look for meaning in people who've already served their purpose. They think the silence means abandonment. But the truth, the silence is sacred. It's life unplugging you from distractions so you can finally hear what's real. You're not being left behind. You're being pulled forward. But people can't stand stillness. They'd rather suffer in noise than heal in quiet. There's a reason why everything feels like it's falling apart right before it all falls into place. Because destruction and creation wear the same mask. One tears down what's fake, the other builds what's real. You can't have both at once. That's why things get stripped from you. Your comfort, your illusions, your control. Not because life's cruel, but because it's clearing space for what's meant for you. It's like cleaning out a wound before it can heal. It stings, but it saves you. But people don't see that. They cling to the pain because it's familiar. They beg life to let them keep what's killing them. You start realizing how blind you've been when you stop trying to force things. When you finally surrender, the pieces start moving on their own. You see why certain people had to leave, Why things had to break, why timing never worked before. Because back then, you were still trying to play God with your destiny. You wanted control over something that was never yours to begin with. But now you're learning to trust the chaos. You're learning that not knowing is part of the plan. That the silence isn't empty. It's full of answers you're not ready to hear yet. Sometimes life doesn't move you forward with clarity. It moves you with confusion. It doesn't give you instructions. It gives you impulses. That gut feeling that won't leave you alone. That dream that keeps repeating. That person you can't explain your connection to. That's not coincidence. That's divine orchestration. It's the invisible hand rearranging your path while you're busy trying to make sense of it. And when you fight it, you delay it. But when you finally stop resisting, you notice something. You're not lost anymore. You're being led. But the funny part, most people only realize this after they've broken. After they've tried everything else. After they've been forced to face themselves. Pain does that. It cleans your vision. It makes you see who's fake, what's real, and what truly matters. It burns away the noise until all that's left is truth. And that truth is never loud. It's quiet, steady, unshakable. That's the kind of peace people spend their whole lives chasing. The kind that doesn't come from control, but from surrender. You ever think about how nothing ever really leaves until you've learned what it came to teach you? Every heartbreak, every failure, every delay, it's all part of the same conversation. The universe doesn't waste time repeating itself unless you missed the point the first time. That's why the silence feels heavier now. It's not new, it's familiar. It's the same message returning, louder this time. Not to punish you, but to remind you. To make sure you don't sleep through your own awakening again. Because deep down, you know this isn't just another phase. This is the pause before everything changes. This is the quiet before the explosion. The moment before the curtain lifts and the real show begins. You can feel it, can't you? The pull, the weight, the electricity in the air. Something's coming. Something's shifting. The signs are everywhere. You just have to stop pretending not to see them. You ever notice how life turns up the pressure right before something good happens? It's almost like it wants to see what you're made of before it hands you what you've been asking for. Pressure exposes truth. It strips away the polite smiles, the fake patience, the rehearsed confidence. It reveals who you are when comfort is gone, when plans fall apart, when silence is the only answer you get. That's when masks melt, and the real version of you steps out, trembling maybe, but honest. And that's the one life rewards. Not the version pretending everything's fine, but the one still standing in the fire, refusing to give up even when it hurts to breathe. Pressure is the great separator. It divides the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the believers. Everyone wants to win until it costs them comfort. Everyone says they trust until they're forced to wait. That's when the truth shows. That's when your faith isn't just a word. It's a choice you have to make over and over again. even when everything around you says you're wrong to keep going. C. Pressure doesn't destroy people. It reveals their foundation. If you're built on ego, you'll crumble. If you're built on purpose, you'll rise. People think blessings come wrapped in peace. They don't. They come disguised as battles. Because peace doesn't shape you, resistance does. You don't grow when it's easy. You grow when it hurts. When everything you planned falls apart, and yet, somehow, you still show up. That's pressure. It's life's way of asking, do you really mean it? Everyone says they want more, but few are willing to endure the breaking that comes before it. Pressure isn't punishment. It's proof you're close. You're being tested because you're trusted. The weight isn't there to crush you. It's there to crown you. You see, people fold under pressure because they think it's unfair. They look around and see others smiling, succeeding, and they wonder, why me? Why is it always hard for me? But what if the struggle is a compliment? What if the weight you carry is a sign you're strong enough to hold it? Life doesn't test the weak. It already knows they'll fall. It tests the ones